If you're shopping for a brand new crossover and don't want to break the bank, this Nissan may be the answer for you. What's up, folks? I'm Dave Underkoffler, editor-in-chief of Autolist.com, back with another one-week test drive. This week's victim is the 2023 Nissan Kicks. It starts at about $21,000, and this version you see here, fully loaded, is just over $27,000. It goes up against the Chevy Trax, the Mitsubishi Outlander Sport, and the Mazda CX-30. So does it have what it takes to beat those rivals? Let's go spend a week with one and find out. All right, let's do a walk around. As I mentioned, this is the fully loaded SR trim. The mid-grade trim is the SV, and then the base models will be called the S. So on the SV and the SR, you get 17-inch alloy wheels, you can see there. The base models will get 16-inch steel wheels. Our tester also has LED fog lights, that's an option. Two-tone paint, I really like this blue, it stands out very nicely, and then you can see the roof is black. That's kind of cool. Moving to the back. So Nissan updated the Kicks for the 2021 model year. Got a subtle exterior refresh, but overall it's been around for a few years now. So you definitely have seen these on the road. Not a new design, but that's not a mark against it. It is aging well. You got some chrome exhaust tip there, some nice little touches. Got the new badge for 2022. Nissan redid their logo. Let's take a look in the back. A little more than 25 cubic feet of space back here. There's my backpack. The seats do fold down. I'll show you those in a minute. Good amount of space, very practical, right? They call this a crossover, but it's kind of just a hatchback, right, guys? What do you think? Let me know in the comments below, hatchback or crossover. But overall, yeah, good looking car. Kind of sleek and fast. There's the grille, and there's that new Nissan logo I was talking about. All right, let's take a look at the engine. What's under the hood? All right, so under the hood, all Kicks models have this 1.6 liter four-cylinder engine that makes 122 horsepower and 114 pound-feet of torque. Two things to note about why this car is able to stay so cheap. For one, this is not a turbocharged engine. Some of its rivals do offer turbocharging, but that's more expensive. Another way it's so cheap is that this Kicks is front-wheel drive only. You can't even get all-wheel drive as an option. So if you live in an area where you're gonna want that extra traction, keep that in mind and maybe cross the Kicks off your list. But the flip side is it gets really good fuel economy. This Kicks is rated by the EPA at 31 miles per gallon in the city, 36 on the highway, and 33 overall. That makes it one of the most fuel efficient models in its entire segment. All right, let's take a look at the inside of this Kicks. So again, this is the loaded SR model, and it also has the $1,400 premium package. So what does that add? Well, it adds these leather seats you see here. I really like the two-tone, they're very comfortable. It also adds a Bose sound system, including a speaker in the driver's headrest, so that's kind of cool. Other features in that package are two-way heated seats. We've got them on right now, and a heated steering wheel. There's the button, so you get nice and toasty. But otherwise, most of the features you see here are going to come on the SV and the SR models, and that includes this screen. Let me show you. This is an 8-inch color touchscreen. I like it because it's nice and clear, very easy to use, very responsive to your touch, so that's nice. It has wired Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. I don't have it hooked up because I'm actually using my phone to film, but it works well. Just have to take my word for it. Very easy to use climate control functions down here. Nothing fancy. I like that. Another thing that I like is that this screen is half analog for your speedometer, and then you have a digital screen here. We'll sort of cycle through. So that's kind of nice. Kind of a nice feature on what is otherwise kind of a basic car, but it's sort of a nice surprise and delight feature. I've appreciated that. I do wish there was a sunroof. There is not, obviously. But otherwise, you've got good space, lots of cubbies down there, very deep. You can see I've got my water bottle here, very deep cubby down below. More storage space in the pockets over there. So yeah, very quiet, very comfortable interior. As I mentioned, these seats are great. They look good too. And now I'll show you the rear seats. All right, rear seat space. If you've seen our videos before, you know the drill. I put the front seat to where I would have it if I were sitting up there. So basically I'm sitting behind myself. I'm 6'1", and as you can see, I've got plenty of space, enough for my toes, for my knees, and because this is a tall vehicle, definitely a lot of headroom. So that's a nice feature if you're gonna be doing longer road trips with adults or tall people in the back. Another bonus is how comfortable these seats are. That's not always the case on these cheaper cars, but definitely a lot of lumbar support that I'm noticing just as I'm sitting here, so that's a really nice treat. Another thing that I like is that there's a lot of visibility back here. A lot of cars today kind of seem like they're shrinking down, especially from the top down, which cuts into visibility, but not so back here. You've got a great view everywhere you look. The thing I don't love is that the seat here doesn't have a fold down armrest. So that nitpicking a little bit, it is a cheaper car, but other rivals do have that. So that'd be nice to have. And another thing to note is that when you fold these seats down, they are split 60-40 and they do fold for more cargo space, and that's nice, but they don't fold totally flat with the floor. Not a deal breaker, but just something to consider. All right, so what is the Kicks like to drive? Well, I actually kind of get a kick out of it. Sorry, bad dad joke, couldn't resist, but it's a perfectly enjoyable car to drive. Now, I know on paper, 122 horsepower doesn't sound like a lot, but this is not a big car. It's not a heavy car. That's an advantage of not having an all-wheel drive system. The car is lighter, so 122 definitely gets the job done. It's got a lot of pep from a dead stop, and you also have a good amount of passing power on the freeway, so that's really nice. One thing about this car that's been a pleasant surprise is the transmission. I know earlier I said I don't generally like CVTs. Usually they don't feel like they're shifting because technically they're not. They just sort of rev the engine up and down. But Nissan has done a nice job in this car of tuning the CVT to mimic an automatic transmission in that it has these artificial shifts. So that's been really nice, really takes away some of that kind of annoyance of CVTs. I will say if you push this car hard to accelerate, the engine does get a little loud and thrashy, but generally I've been really enjoying the combination of engine and transmission in this Kicks. The rest of the drive experience is pretty enjoyable. There's not a lot of wind or road noise coming into the car. The suspension is nicely tuned. It's on the sporty side, but it's definitely not firm or jarring. I like that. And then the steering has a really good feel to it. A lot of cars today are using kind of overly synthetic steering feel. This has a good amount of resistance and feel, so that's a nice bonus. One last thing I want to note about how this car drives is that the brakes feel really good, and that's because they are disc brakes on all four wheels. This is on the SR trim, the top level trim that we're testing, and then on the mid-grade SV trim. Unfortunately, to save some money on the base model, the S trim, Nissan went with disc brakes in the front, but then drum brakes in the rear. And drum brakes are a very cheap and pretty antiquated brake setup, and they don't work nearly as well as disc brakes. So if you are shopping for this Kicks and you can afford it, I would opt for the mid-grade SV just to get that stronger braking system. It's a little frustrating that Nissan does sort of cheap out on that base model when it comes to brakes. All right, folks, there you have it, our 1-week test drive of the 2023 Nissan Kicks. I just checked our fuel economy, and over 200 miles of testing, we averaged about 28 miles per gallon. And that's pretty good considering I've got a bit of a lead foot. Overall, we've really enjoyed this car. It's a nice size, it's cost effective, and it's definitely fuel efficient. The only things you should note is that if you do live in an area with a lot of snow or inclement weather and you're gonna want all-wheel drive, you should probably cross the Kicks off your list because it's front-wheel drive only. So for reviews of the Kicks or anything else you're shopping for, new or used, be sure to check out Autolist.com. And before you go, like and subscribe to this channel so you can get alerts on all of our future updates. We'll see you out there.